Alright, so Mesopotamians built observations 6,000 years ago. They organized the idea of dividing a circle into 360 degrees, then further subdividing each degree into 60 parts called minutes, and each minute into 60 parts called seconds. The small circle we still use today is the concept of time. So the Egyptians developed and used astronomy entirely for practical purposes, such as developing a calendar to be used for predicting the Nile flood and in aligning temples and monuments. Stonehenge. The purpose of Stonehenge is astronomical. It is aligned so that if one sets at the center, one has a clear view of the summer solstice sun rising over the heel stone. First Stonehenge was built in 2400 BC. The Stonehenge we see today is the third and is less accurate. So the Chinese dated back to 1400 BC. They made a calendar that was based upon the phases of the moon, but added extra months because the solar system is not evenly divisible by an exact number of lunar months. They created the first star map.
Thales. Thales was born around 625 BC. He was credited with being the first Greek philosopher. He was the first to start trying to explain the natural world without the use of gods. We know about Thales from other ancient Greek writers, as no original work of Thales survived. He predicted the solar eclipses and believed that everything originated on water. Pythagoras, influenced by Thales, founded own religion and philosophical school in Croton. The Greek Pythagoreans are known for their learning and mathematical discoveries. They are the first to claim that the earth was a sphere. They discovered that the square foot of 2 was an irrational number. Babylonians. They go back as far as 1800 BC and established an accurate calendar calculating motions of the sun and the moon. They are a group of scribes that observed movements of the stars and the planets. Aristotle, or also known as the grandfather of science, he studied planets, animals, and people in scientific ways. He proved that Earth was spherical and believed it was the center of the universe. He thought that stars and other planets were spheres that revolved around the Earth. Aristarchus was the first to put forth the idea that the sun was actually in the center of the universe. He attempted to measure the relative distances between the Earth, the Sun, and the Earth and the Moon. Eratosthenes measured the altitude of the noontime sun. He measured the tilt of the Earth's axis by 23.5 degrees, which gives us seasons.
In 134 BC, Hipparchus discovered a new star. Discovering the new star caused him to make the earliest systematic catalog of the brighter stars. Although the catalog was lost, suggestions claim he gave the location of about 850 stars. The Mesoamericans and Mayans date back to approximately 500 BC. The caracol aligned with the equinox and solstices. Cultural events such as battles were trimmed to coincide with Venus's position. Their calendar tracked the sunrise, sunset, and the rising and setting of Venus. Ptolemy, also known as Claudius Ptolemy, was between the time 127 and 151 AD. His greatest accomplishment was a system that could accurately account for the motion of the planets using a combination of regular, circular motions. Invented terrestrial latitude and longitude. The Muslims in Arabs' time were during 700 BC. Islamic astronomers improved our observing techniques. They translated the work of ancient astronomers such as Ptolemy from Greek to Arabic. Arabic star names are still used today. During Copernicus' time, which was between 1437 AD and 1534 AD, he proposed the first fully developed heliocentric model of the solar system. He also wrote out an outline of the sun-centered theory. In 1546, Brahe, also known as Tycho, had detailed results of the sun, moon, and planets that made most of de revolutibus. He only observed during special occasions, being solstices and oppositions. Brahe made a model of the sun and moon orbiting Earth and showing that Earth was stationary. Around 1616 AD, Galileo is often credited with inventing the telescope and pointing it towards the heavens, but this is false. He did discover that the Milky Way was made of myriads of stars. Galileo studied many other planets. He thought the moon was a sphere, but found out it was made of mountains. In 1611, Kepler made a discovery on planetary motion, which led to Kepler's law of planetary motion. In 1687, Newton formulated a law of gravity that would cause Kepler's law and structures of the solar system. In 1705, Edmund Halley predicted the orbit of a comet using Isaac Newton's theory of gravitation. Einstein created the theory of relativity sometime between 1879 and 1955. He stated that it was impossible to tell if you are moving if there are no objects to compare them to. It also says that you cannot tell the difference between gravity and the force of inertia from a moving object. Niels Bohr. In 1913, he created the Bohr atomic model. It shows electrons travel around the molecules in a discrete orbit. Wolfgang Pauli. In 1924, he introduced the quantum number called spin. It helped establish the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics that says physical concepts must be limited by the possibilities of observation. In 1930, he predicted the existence of neutral particles. In 1940, he formulated the spin statistics theorem. Werner Heisenberg found a way to formulate quantum mechanics in terms of matrices. In 1927, he published the uncertainty principle.